Hi, I'm Melissa, and this is The Book Break. On this week's series for authors, we're talking to Michael Anderle, a publisher and the founder of 20 Books to 50k. Let's go talk to him. Alright guys, just like I said, I'm here with Michael Anderle. And Michael, you have a lot of experience in the publishing world.
We do. LMBPN has now over 650 books out. We're a little bit over 4 years old, and then I've written some 30 to 35 myself, plus hundreds with collaborators.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about your publisher for a minute, because you were an author before you started your publishing company, right?
I like to say that we were a publishing company of one author.
Okay.
So yeah, LMBPN was always intended to be a publishing company, but in the beginning, of course, I wrote the books that started off our first year. It wasn't until about 14, 15 months that we started doing collaborations. Wow.
Now, for our authors that are watching, a lot of them are familiar with 20 Books to 50k, but there's some newbies that watch this. So explain to me what 20 Books to 50k is, because that's a huge tool for a lot of authors.
The idea behind it originally started because I had those first two books that I was writing. I was making about $7.50 a day, and I was in the middle of writing book 3 at the Pacifica over in Los Cabos, Cabo San Lucas. And so I coined that term because if I could make $7.50 a day and I could write 20 books, then I would make $50,000 a year, and we could retire. I could retire my wife in Cabo because of low taxes and everything else, and it's just a beautiful place.
Yeah.
So that's the intent behind the name. 20 books make $50,000 a year. It just so happens that we reached that much earlier than 20 books.
Yeah. So
yes.
It's a Facebook group.
Correct.
And there's over 30,000?
37. I think we just hit 38,000.
Wow. And tell us more, what happens in this Facebook group? What are some of the posts?
In the beginning, whenever I was becoming more successful, I wanted to help other authors. But I don't have the belief that all writing is objective. I believe it can be very subjective. Mm-hmm. And I'm not the type to dictate to someone, you need to write a certain way. What you need to do is actually write in such a way that someone's willing to give you money for your books, if that is your goal. You know, for me, my goal was always, I wanted to have fans want to reread my stories and make money. And so 20 Books to 50k was my effort to start helping other authors by telling them what was I doing that was being successful. So in creating that group and moving it forward, I only had two rules. I didn't want anybody to try to self-market, because authors, a lot of them don't have the money, but if you say, hey, I got a 99-cent book, well, that actually might be milk that they need to buy. Yeah. So that was one of the rules. And the other one, which I don't know how PG correct we can be, but it was don't be a dick.
Yeah.
And it's like, we're adults. I didn't have time to actually explain to you what it meant to be mature, to be nice. And if you couldn't be it, I wasn't sitting here going to explain it, we'd kick you out.
Right.
And so that's the only two rules, and it gave a very safe space for people to come in, because it is focused on the book publishing, the book marketing, the business side of things, not the craft.
Yeah.
And so that was where everybody started helping everybody else, and we were able to then move on and, you know, help people actually build a life.
Yeah, and you have a conference every year, the 20 Books to 50k conference, which is hugely successful, and for our potential authors out there, they will learn a ton. Tell me a little bit more, where is it in 2020, and what kind of speakers are at this conference?
The 20 Books to 50k is held in about the second week of November in Las Vegas. It's been held at Sam's Town this year. It will also be held at Sam's Town. We take over the whole hotel, so there are no other rooms except for those that are belonging to the group, as well as we take over a few hundred hotel rooms from a sister company. The people who are talking there, you're really kind of talking about the creme de la creme of the indie sphere, plus companies such as Ingram, such as Publishers Weekly, such as BookFunnel, such as, and you know, we could just go to Kobo, Amazon, Google, name them, Publish Drive, Draft to Digital. They're all there trying to support other authors. And so we look at it as a way where we're engaging and creating relationships for people, both authors to authors, for collaborations, as well as the ability for them to create the business meeting or the business relationships that they need with these companies that can potentially help them go wide, go narrow, it doesn't matter. We're agnostic when it comes from that. We don't care about the politics of which choice do you want to make, if you think you're all in or whether or not you want to go wide. We just want to make the relationships and the knowledge there successful. And it's a nonprofit. We don't make money off of this. We're there to invest our time and our effort and our money to help other people change their own lives.
Yeah, and I know that on your 20 Books to 50K group, a lot of people give advice, and some of those people are at your conference and teach.
Yes, absolutely. So the conference itself, let me clarify one thing. Craig Martello is the one who actually started and put it on with a bunch of others.
Yeah.
So the agreement has always been that if he'll put it on, I'll show up.
Yeah.
And we keep that. So I just want to make sure that the credit's given
All right.
to where it's due. But we have everybody, it's hard for me to say because there's probably going to be 150 tracks of information coming out of it. But also one thing that we do is, since we're not for profit, we stream as much of this as we can. And so we have people from around the world that will have streaming parties that will watch the conference with their people, maybe at homes, maybe at restaurants, in order to keep this information flowing.
And I'm so glad you mentioned that, because not everyone can make it to the conference, and the information is so incredibly valuable. So for our authors out there, I definitely recommend they stream it. Now, where do they go to stream it?
If you'll go, well, you'll join the 20 Books 2020 group, right? Specifically for the conference. That'll be for the streaming side. But if you'd like to see anything from last year's conference, from our London conference, from our Adelaide, just go up on YouTube. There are, I think, over 100 that we've already recorded and kept.
Wow.
And so there's a lot of that information out there that'll help bring you forward. Now, one of the benefits and one of the detriments of our industry is it changes all of the times. So it's a detriment, of course, because whatever you learned last year might have to change. But at the same time, somebody who knew what to do 3 years ago, if you're someone new to the industry, they don't necessarily have a leg up. It might have changed, and what they knew doesn't work anymore.
Yeah.
So it is a constant effort to move forward.
Awesome. And then I just want to wrap up with talking about your publishing company a little bit more. What are you looking for as a publisher from potential other indie authors out there?
Generally, people get into LMBPN through relationships with other authors that are part of it. We are a very driven group. We're very professional. We expect dates to be accomplished. It's very difficult at some level for that to occur, but even having said that, we have between 50 to 60 authors who've collaborated with LMBPN, and we'll put out somewhere around 250 to 300 new titles minimum this year.
Wow. That's incredible. And now you have yourself written how many books?
Solo, approximately 30 plus.
Wow.
And then we've got other integrations and collaborations that I've been a part of.
Great. And where can we find out more information about you, your publishing company, and 20 Books to 50K?
Honestly, about me, just I hate to say this a little bit, but just Google Michael Anderle.
Yeah.
And then you'll go find out a lot about that. 20 Books to 50K, of course. Please join the group. There will be some questions asked, saying, look at these. They're going to ask you about the rules so that you know it. And if someone fails to do it, sometimes we'll have people whose VA. So the author will sign up, they know the rules, but the VA is like, hey, guess what? And the next thing you know, they're kicked out. And it's like, so just make aware there's only 2 rules, but we love everyone to come in. You can sit and lurk and just learn. One of the ways that some people have learned is to come in and read the FAQ, the frequently asked questions.
Yeah, they are really good. I've read them myself too.
Okay.
I love them.
And just go through there, and we really seek to say, hey, everybody can be successful, but it takes hard work.
Yeah.
We're not here to carry anyone.
Yeah, and I think that's great, because I know there's a misperception out there that I just write my book and then I sit back and let the money roll in. And that's just not how it works, is it?
No, not at all.
So, sorry.
No, that's...
If you had one tip to give new authors, what would it be?
Hit the button.
Explain that a little more.
Okay, so this goes back to my very first one, and we'll leave the cussing out of it. But if you hit the publishing button, if anyone has ever done, let's say, paper stock trading, you know that there's nothing between paper stock trading, which you understand the tactics, until you put your money on the line, it doesn't make as much sense. So when you push the publishing button, all of that stuff you think you've learned now becomes stark reality, because you can actually make changes. Just because the book come out, and if it was a success, fantastic. If it was a failure, that's not a problem, because now you start to find out of the 6 or 7 things that you can change, what is it you need to change?
Yeah.
You cannot do that until that book is published.
Yeah, that's great. Well, thank you so much for
Absolutely,
being here.
I appreciate being here.
Yeah, and thank you guys for joining us. Tune in next week for our next series on things to help authors. Thanks. We'll see you next time.